I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. New York Attorney General Letitia James and her office took the deposition of Donald Trump last week for approximately 7 hours. Donald Trump did not invoke his Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination. He testified this time, unlike the special proceeding where he invoked his Fifth Amendment rights. But perhaps he should have invoked his Fifth Amendment rights, because what seems like what transpired was that Donald Trump further incriminated himself in connection with the Manhattan District Attorney's ongoing criminal investigation, in addition to stipulating to liability based on the claims being brought in a civil forum by the New York Attorney General's office, where New York Attorney General Letitia James is seeking at least $250 million against Donald Trump, the Trump Organization, and Donald Trump's adult children, in addition to injunctive relief, which would effectively shut down the Trump Organization from effectively doing business in the state of New York. So how do I know that? Well, Donald Trump posted about the deposition afterwards, and in this post that he made on his social media platform, he essentially stipulates to the underlying claims brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James in the case set for trial October 2nd, 2023, before Justice Arthur Engoron. And in this post I am about to read you, he also stipulates essentially to criminal liability as well in connection with the Manhattan District Attorney's ongoing criminal investigation. So the Manhattan District Attorney brought charges based upon Donald Trump's falsification of business records in connection with the election as it relates to the hush money payments paid to Stormy Daniels. But that's a narrow claim. The broader criminal investigation that's still being investigated by DA Alvin Bragg's office is Donald Trump's financial fraud. And Donald Trump seems to admit to it in this post, because one of the key areas of the financial fraud is that he would understate and overstate and just generally materially misrepresent the valuation of his properties as it suited him. So if he wanted to get benefits on his taxes, he would claim that the value of his properties were lower. If he wanted to get better lending terms, he would claim the value of his property is higher, when his actual underlying appraisals were to the contrary. When you prepare and submit statement of financial conditions, you are attesting to the fact that the statement of financial conditions are accurate. And in this post Donald Trump makes, he admits that they were inaccurate. Let me read the post that Donald Trump made right after his deposition. This is what he said. He goes, "An interesting day spent with the Attorney General and her representatives. I strongly made my, quote, points. They are irrefutable," and he puts irrefutable in all caps, "and it is a case that should not go forward. My company and overall value is actually far stronger and higher than shown in the so-called financial statement. The honorable thing to do would be, quote, drop it and spend all of this time, money, and energy on fighting violent crime in New York. It would make a big difference and show real strength and courage by the AG." Let's break that down. First off, you see Donald Trump's malignant narcissism here, where he thinks that by posting this thing on his social media platform that the New York Attorney General is going to look at it and go, you know what, I guess I'm going to have to dismiss this claim. Donald Trump is saying I should be focused on the crime in New York, even though crime in New York is significantly down. Donald Trump is telling me that I should dismiss this, so I guess I should. It's like the malignant narcissism that Donald Trump had like right before the grand jury in Manhattan voted to criminally indict him. He was like, I love the grand jury. He's like, I know they're going to do the right thing. Thanks for all of your hard work, and I know you will definitely handle this the right way and not bring charges against me, as though he thinks that in his malignant narcissistic mind that is actually going to convince the jury not to follow the law. But let's get into where Donald Trump in this post essentially stipulates to violating the law. And it's right here, where he goes, my company and overall value is actually far stronger and higher than shown in the so-called financial statement. Well, It's not a so-called financial statement. It is a statement of financial condition. And the statement of financial condition would be prepared by the Trump Organization, by you, by your accountant, the Mazars firm. I should note that the Mazars firm is Donald Trump's former accountants, and they've since stated that no one should rely on any of the information that they've provided in any statement of financial conditions because they were provided incorrect information by Donald Trump and the Trump Organization. But here's the main principle, and here's the thing that the New York Attorney General's office is focused on in the ongoing civil case, as well as what the Manhattan District Attorney's focused on in the ongoing criminal investigation. You are supposed to submit accurate statement of financial conditions. Accurate statement of financial conditions. You're not supposed to say this property is valued at significantly less when you're trying to get a benefit on your taxes and pay less taxes. Similarly, you're not supposed to lie about the square footage of an apartment, or you're not supposed to lie about the lack of easements on properties, or you're not supposed to lie about, in general, the overall valuation of a property when you are trying to get better lending terms. What you are simply supposed to do is submit the actual value. And where you have appraisals, you should rely on those appraisals. And where the variance between an appraisal and your valuation is so completely out of whack, and it is clear that the reason it is out of whack is that you had an intent to materially defraud, to lie to whatever third party you were dealing with in any given situation, whether it was because you wanted to pay less taxes, so you undervalued a property, you wanted a better loan, or you wanted a more favorable term, so you lied about your square footage. You're not supposed to do that. And lying on these financial documents is a crime. And lying about it is precisely what the issue is in New York Attorney General Letitia James' civil case. She is saying in her civil case that over more than a decade, at least, as far back as the statute allows her to go, that Donald Trump falsified his statement of financial conditions to suit his needs in these various different contexts to gain favorable terms with lenders and taxing authorities and insurers. And so here, Donald Trump is saying, my company and overall value is actually far stronger and higher than shown in the so-called financial statement. So what you are saying here in this statement is that you lied on your statement of financial conditions. What you're saying here is that you believe actually the number should be higher than it is, where New York Attorney General Letitia James is accusing you, for example, of inflating the valuation of your apartment in Trump Tower. We'll just take that as an example by saying that the apartment, which is 11,000 square feet, is actually closer to 40,000 square feet, which you know to be false. What you're saying here in this statement is that the actual overall value is even more than what you previously misrepresented. Is that what you're saying? And is what you're also saying is that when you would apparently lie to taxing authorities and say that the valuations of your properties were lower than they should be to get favorable tax breaks and favorable tax terms, not only should they have been higher, but they should have been significantly higher than what you were reporting to those taxing authorities. So any way you cut it, this post shows that you've materially misrepresented not so-called financial statements. They're your financials. The financials didn't drop out of thin air. They're your financial statements. And that's what the case is. So thank you for providing evidence to New York Attorney General Letitia James. I'm sure she appreciates that. And she'll say in her opening statement, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, one of the key things we're here to demonstrate is that Donald Trump falsified his statement of financial conditions. And by the way, doesn't even take them seriously. He believes that they're called so-called financial statements. And how do we know that? Let's pull up the post that he made. And in this post, Donald Trump said that my company and overall value is actually far stronger and higher than shown in these so-called financial statements. So-called financial statement, huh? Let's pull up Exhibit B. Here is the appraised value. Here is the actual square footage. Here is the fact that there is an easement that wasn't represented. Here is the fact that this property is not anywhere near the valuation that Donald Trump put. So on and so forth. So this right here is a bombshell piece of evidence for the New York Attorney General in the case set to go to trial on October 2nd and for the Manhattan District Attorney. So you may be asking after hearing all of this, well, why didn't Donald Trump invoke his Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination? Well, in a civil case, when you invoke your Fifth Amendment rights, unlike in a criminal case, invoking your fifth constitutes an adverse inference. So, New York Attorney General Letitia James could have told the jury, had he invoked his fifth again, like he did in the special proceeding, the New York Attorney, which predated the filing of the lawsuit by the New York Attorney General, New York Attorney General Letitia James could have said, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Donald Trump invoked his Fifth Amendment rights when he was asked all of these questions about the statements of financial condition and the values of his properties and the appraised values of his properties. Therefore, you can make an inference adverse to Donald Trump that the reason he's not answering is that he is liable for the conduct at issue in the question that he refused to answer. Essentially, by Donald Trump invoking the fifth, if he had done that here, he would be stipulating to the liability. However, by testifying, which he ultimately did, not only does it appear that he stipulated to his liability by further incriminating himself, but by further incriminating himself in a civil case where money damages is the outcome, the authorities that have jurisdiction over criminal issues, and that's the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, which is still engaged in the investigation of his financial fraud, now has access to this wealth of information that didn't exist before, including this post that I just read you. So just think about strategically how smart it was for Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg not to bring the financial fraud case months ago, because then that would have likely delayed indefinitely the civil case brought by the New York Attorney General's office, and Donald Trump would never have given the deposition. Therefore, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg would never have got this smoking gun evidence that he has now, where Donald Trump is essentially admitting to not just civil liability in the case where billions of dollars are at stake going to trial on October 2nd, 2023, but he's now essentially admitted to criminal liability as well. And so Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg says, thank you for that post. We appreciate it. And by the way, for those out there who are saying there should be a gag order on Donald Trump, while he's definitely a maniac, and the statements that he makes are horrific to some extent, he keeps incriminating himself with these posts. So what you want to be careful of as well is if there were to be a gag order that would stop him from further incriminating himself. Like the more he talks, the deeper the hole he digs here. So anyway, that's Donald Trump further incriminating himself right there. Thank you so much for watching this. I'm Ben Meiselas. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your incredible support. So please hit subscribe. Also, check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We don't have outside investors. We do it through memberships at our Patreon site, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. And also, wherever you get your audio podcast, just search the MeidasTouch podcast. I think you'll enjoy it as well. All right, hit subscribe on our YouTube. It's free. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas. Have a great day.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.